those the firemen. He
Those
said,
oak trees for what?
he said those oak trees are fine. The white one's the strongest in the forest and the second. And he said, but they're fine, but that ash over there, and I hadn't even asked him. He said that ash
Yeah.
coming down this year, and it's really big.
Right,
God, and
Mine
that-
was like this.
mine was this big at the bottom, and then,
Mine was like 18 inches.
and when he took it, I realized all those times with my pond and the compound weed and the stems, no more. No more compound weed. All right, I guess I have to do something here.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm not turned on the computer, but that's okay. It was on.
Where you at?
Am I on sheet? I saw her. Oh. There she is. Hi, Greg.
See,
Yes.
the bottom is exhausted. We can't pay it. So did Carl, Nadia come to see you yet? Earlier. Okay, call me first. You that.
Okay, ready? Ready enough.
Right.
Here's,
That's the, she's in halfway to Maine.
Yeah.
after this.
She's going to try to zoom in, but I don't see her here yet.
Assume you know that's what it is.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Ted?
That's exactly what I was going to say. It appears that your microphone is working and none other.
Well,
They haven't been turned on yet?
you haven't been used yet. Yeah.
Is mine working now?
Yes.
Yes. Mine? Yep.
I think.
Yep. When you're close enough. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so then let's call the meeting to, well, call public hearing to order, because that's the first thing. Is there anyone present who would like to comment on the budget? Find it.
Yes, thank you. Number one, I am opposed to giving any money to the Danby seniors. They are violating at least 2 laws that I know of. And I feel the town is violating the law in giving them tax dollars that are illegally used. If you want a copy of my letter to Pamela Matthews of the DOS, I'd be happy to send you a copy. Number 2, I am opposed to the Jennings Pond swimming program and feel there is a lack of accountability by the town, who can't even tell me how many people used the swimming area in 2021 and how many hours the employees worked. I really think that is just outrageous. Are you paying people when you don't even know how many hours they've worked? We need more accountability in this town overall. In addition, I'm opposed to dumping chemicals into the pond that then drain into Buttermilk Creek and finally wind up in Cayuga Lake. $8,400 for this program seems out of bounds. I'm also opposed to a part-time clerk being paid $45,000, maybe $25,000. But $45,000 is way too much, and I didn't see any line item in the budget that dealt with a webmaster or web maintenance, website creation, nothing like that. Newsletter support at $25,000 is absolutely outrageous. There was no explanation why the Beardsley properties were being given $160. Finally, I want to know how much money is brought into Danby by the short-term rental tax renters are paying, where it winds up in the budget. So how much are they paying, where it is in the budget, and how it's being used. This money should be a special line item dedicated to all things dealing with short-term rentals, whether it be inspections and the issuing of permits by the CEO, legal fees incurred by the town, etc. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there a letter, by the way, that we have from Rhonda?
A letter dealing with what?
Well, you just said at the beginning that there was a letter that you sent to the board.
No, I sent it to the Department of State, the DOS, and I said I would be happy to provide it to you if you wanted to see it, because it explains, it goes into much more detail about the laws that are being violated by the Danby seniors. If you want a copy of it, I can send it to you. No one has requested a copy of it at this point in time.
Well, that would be great. Send it to me at least. Anybody else?
Okay, I'll just send it to the town board.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
You mentioned something that didn't ring a bell at all. Well, if anyway, anything that, any money generated from short-term rentals doesn't come to us anyway, because county.
Yes, it does. It comes to the town. It goes to the county and then comes back to the town. So where is it? And how much is it? And what are you doing with it?
Despite what you just said, I don't remember any money ever coming to the town, except by way of, tourism grants. So maybe the, I can't remember where the money came from, but the walks on, is that tourism money?
Yeah, that was from the Department of Planning and Sustainability.
Not sort of grant. I mean, we've gotten grants in the past for, beautification and for support of the what was called Danby Fun Day. And that was tourism money that came back to us that way.
No, it comes to you specifically for short-term rentals. It's supposed to be paid by the property owner who is doing the renting. And then it is sent, actually, particularly if they are using Airbnb and some of the others, it goes to Airbnb. And Airbnb then returns it to the county, and it should be coming back to the town. So maybe you could check on that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, and you could check on that. But when it was first set up, that's my understanding of how it was set up. It's paid by the Airbnb rental person to Airbnb, and then it is kicked back to the county and then has to be sent to the town. It's a big, long process, but that's the accountability of it.
Great.
Right. I think Gary's next.
Yeah, I'd like to, since Rhonda spouted about the laws that the seniors are violating, I'd like to know which laws she's talking about. Plus, one other thing I'd like to know in the budget is I see we have about $30-some thousand in attorney fees. How much of that attorney's fees is wasted on frivolous lawsuits brought by the people of some people of the town? That's all I have.
It could be broken out, I suppose. So we can share when Rhonda sends it to us, the letter to the Department of State. Yeah.
When did it get sent to them, and has there been any reply to Rhonda?
I just sent it to the DOS. So
When is what I asked?
October 8th.
Okay,
Not the private had responded yet.
great.
Where were we? Ted?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to sort of start by repeating a little bit of what I said during the hearing about exceeding the tax cap. I mean, it's very nice that the town seems not to have exceeded the tax cap in its proposed budget, the preliminary budget. But not exceeding the tax cap is not the goal that you should be looking for. You should be looking for a goal where you either maintain a zero increase in expenditures or reduce expenditures. And you should not be relying on changes in assessment of town properties in order to make up for any increases in your spending. Now, as it happens, and pardon me, the budget is a long document and I don't know it in detail, as I'm sure you do. But it appears that the general budget expanded by 50-something thousand dollars. That's the 3%. And by coincidence, I'm sure there are more details that change this actual number, but by coincidence, two line items specifically seem to add up to $54,000. And I refer to $30,000 for computer security and $25,000 basically for a newsletter. Now, because there is limited information available to the public about the computer security, I can't speak with any absolute surety that I'm correct, but I'm not sure what services you're receiving, and I'm not sure whether they're necessary. But I am pretty sure that you're being charged a pretty penny for it. I know that it could be done less expensively by making use of, well, let me not waste your time. It could be done a lot less expensively. As for the newsletter, that's an incredible amount of money. I mean, even if it took swallowing some pride, you could buy space in an existing newsletter for a fraction of that price and be able to put out the same information, the same words, and charge the taxpayers a fraction. And by the way, that's a small fraction, perhaps 25,000, maybe a third or a quarter of the price. So it's basically a question of, are you doing this because it's something that you really want to see happen, or are you doing this to benefit the town financially and being conservative with the spending of money? I think there are any number of other items on the budget which could be reduced, where the amounts could be reduced somewhat, but those are two big ticket items that stand out right in front. And so I encourage you to aim for a budget which has a 0% increase or a decrease in actual expenses, and let that result in a tax reduction if that's possible. If the town's assessed value goes up, then people can simply pay less. Thank you.
I'd like to make one correction. The line item that says newsletter and other support. It doesn't say newsletter by itself.
Yeah, the other support includes the website.
And the website, and there was also other support we were talking about for the planner and the code enforcement officer. You had mentioned something else. So all of those things are in that category. I'm sorry you didn't notice that.
If I may note, even if you take out a reasonable amount for that sort of thing, you could still save a heck of a lot of money using the method that I just described.
No doubt it. Any other comments on the budget? Okay. Well, then we'll close the public hearing and call the regular meeting to order. There's at least one addition to the agenda. Authorizing the loan, what amounts to a loan for the UPCA. To the end. Well,
I'm having a little trouble hearing.
Yeah,
you have trouble hearing me? Oh.
Yeah, either,
They're hearing me fine, but you
Yeah,
can't.
but
No, I'm just,
It's so unheard.
I'm just.
it is fine. You have to speak up.
All right. Any other additions or deletions? Okay. That brings us to privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who'd like to address the board on any subject? Not already addressed, of course. No. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Thanks. What did I see there? The proposed creation of a joint planning committee for zoning tweaks. I think, especially in view of recent town events, that limiting that committee to appointed members of town boards who are already involved with the town would be shall we say, a community relations mistake. I think that committee should include people who have spoken out or have participated in the process earlier, who basically have something to contribute. I would remind you that it's different people involved, of course, but when the whole zoning process was initiated, very few people from the planning board or the CAC had any particular interest in participating in it. They wanted to know what was going on, but they did not actually participate. Whereas there were any number of private citizens who were interested and did participate. As you know, there were some issues with that participation. They eventually felt not as appreciated as they hoped. But nonetheless, I think you should keep this open to have participation by ordinary citizens who are simply interested, and maybe they're out there to protect some particular interest of their own, but they should be heard. And I can give you one example of a tweak that I hope you'll be looking at, which resulted in somewhat of a travesty from a planning and zoning point of view. The fact that the setbacks in the rural district, the big acre districts, were made so small that it was possible to build a house, some might say a large house, on a half-acre parcel in a 10-acre zone. And that was just ridiculous, and it was entirely enabled by the fact that the setbacks were so small, went from 50 or 75 feet down to much less, that there was possible to build it there. And we knew that was a failure before you passed it, and then it happened. So I really encourage you to include people. Thanks.
Anyone else for privilege of the floor?
Actually, I have a question for Ted.
Well, okay, use the mic though.
Hey, Ted. It's Zachary Larkins. Did you get my email a couple days ago about the park?
I did. You might say we shouldn't be discussing this here, but I was kind of busy the last couple of days. And if you'd like an answer, I think it would be a bad idea not to provide a vehicle access through that end of the park. And besides using the tractor for mowing, you have to consider emergency vehicle access. If someone got hurt on that end of the back of the park, you would not want to be sending an emergency vehicle. Even if it was a golf cart, you would not want to be sending them all the way around the other end of the park and wander through the golf course to get to the same place. So that was the answer to your question. I think it would be better to spend money on something that solved several problems at once rather than creating a new one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Also, I just want to say I'm very proud of everyone that won. Congratulations and thank you.
Thanks.
Rhonda.
By the way, you
I
want
just want to
send that
say
letter
that
to us also? Would you like to send that letter to us also?
well, what I was going to say is I sent it to the town board members, And it's up to you whether or not you want to send it to anyone else. And if you want to send it to Gary and feel that it's his business, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I'm talking about your letter you sent to Ted, just so we know what's going on.
Yeah,
Great, thanks.
okay. Anyone else with privilege of the floor? Okay. There was a little correspondence. The project on Station Road, it took a lot longer than was expected because, well, there was a hang up on the approval of the new piping for the water district. Caused a 3-week delay because it kept flunking the bacterial test multiple times. And because you had to test it 2 days in succession, and then you wait a couple of days before you get the results, and they don't do it over the weekend, so you can't test on Friday. It meant that, you know, you test 1 week, you flunk, you wait till the next week, you test, you flunk, you wait till the next week, you flunk, and then finally you pass. So,
This is right there on
Yeah.
Station Road.
Yeah, the
And it's the county's doing it, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's quite the project, but it was just, it lost a lot of time. It's a great time to be working on it because of that hang up.
Yeah.
And I didn't see this USDA Rural Development Home Ownership and Home Repair Program communication until I put it on the agenda just now.
Yeah, it's just opening that.
Evidently. Greg, did you know that? Was that shared with you? Because evidently the USDA has money for low income and very low income people for home ownership and home repair. And maybe something we should do. It wasn't clear to me whether it's a matter of making it with people applying for it as opposed to us. Whether we can make it known that it's available.
It says it's brochures.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what they're getting at. Is,
Right.
How
If you
to
want to
share
have
the information, but
Right.
yeah, but we could be sharing that. That there are these brochures,
Right.
and didn't they offer to also meet?
They offer what?
Also meet with like somebody from the town to explain what's
Oh.
available and stuff like that. That's toward the end.
Schedule a presentation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we could have a presentation and that might be a good way to do it. And then it's on the record and available. I mean, I don't even know where if we could post something like on the website, where it would go.
Right.
So that, and it doesn't give us a link. Apparently it's just a paper brochure. So
Yeah.
I don't know. According to, I mean, there's nothing more in this about it than
Mhm. But maybe I can contact them about maybe doing a presentation.
they're only offering it to an upcoming staff meeting.
Yes, I know we could have done it today, but no.
Well, it would have been, I think it would be nice to have it, if this is what it is and it's available to households, then it should be a presentation to the town so that
Yeah, well,
people would know and then they could come and learn. But
yeah, well, I think it was intended to say, to brief relevant staff about how to share information about it. But, picking up on one way or another, seems like it might be worth pursuing.
Phone call.
Yeah. Whether it ends up with before the staff or coming to the town board at a meeting.
But once you find out how informative it actually is,
Yes,
then you can
it's too bad they didn't give us like a
decision.
link to the
Right.
brochure so we can see what it is that we're sharing. So yet another review of our open positions. we do need to put in the newsletter that the deadline's December 4th, so that we can deal with these at the December meetings. Yep. The December meetings do work out okay at the start time. So this is the list. Okay. We have the code officer's report in writing, we have the town clerk's report in writing. And we have the town planner here to give this report.
Hello,
Yeah.
that's fine, okay. Currently, right now, we have since the last meeting, we're preparing for a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting at the end of this month. There are a couple of variance cases going to the board, so I'm preparing materials and notifications for them. Two for 1843 Danby Road, to operate the market, yep, and then another on Nelson Road. Turns out a lot line is going right through a house and they just want to adjust it. It doesn't quite meet the setbacks, so the house is there. It should be pretty straightforward. There are a lot of planning and zoning inquiries coming in from property owners and realtors. Just been fielding a lot of different inquiries about subdividing land and what to do with property. People trying to be creative about adding another unit on their property for, family member. So just working with a lot of property owners about navigating the zoning ordinance. Continuing to work with Steve, code enforcement officer, to issue building permits. Attending various Tompkins County meetings, such as today, there was a Stormwater Coalition meeting among a lot of planners and stormwater folks in the area. It was hosted by the Tompkins County Soil and Water Conservation District. Let's see, upcoming and actually on the agenda tonight for the town board is considering to approve a voucher for the Dodson Park Association, and that's for the boardwalk. So once the association gets those funds, they can purchase the boardwalk, construct the boardwalk, and then we can get the town can get reimbursed from the county.
It occurred to me that probably ought to be authorizing the loan before we approve the warrant. The warrant has a disbursement in it.
County money,
Yes.
Yeah, it's a grant.
so we have to pay for it first and then we get the county money back. So we have to
Yeah,
do
that's what the
warrant.
whole thing is the grant is to the town. And for the park.
Right,
Yeah, and of course, the park needs the money in order to do what the grant is for.
so you'll issue the money
So
first,
basically, we'll have
the
to.
project to get underway,
Yes,
then we'll
right.
get the money back.
Right.
Correct, okay. Just process.
So the Park Association will submit receipts of all the materials that they purchased, up to $5,000, and then we'll submit that to the county for the town to become whole again.
We just found out this afternoon that we in fact don't have to have it all spent by the end of the year.
Right, yeah, they wanted us to finish it by the end of the year, but they said it could go until May. So I unless the Park Association has the volunteers ready to construct the boardwalks by the end of the year, otherwise it is allowable to have it be done by May. As I said last time, I'm currently drafting a request for proposal to secure a contractor to perform maintenance on the Beardsley Drainage District number 1. I'm hoping to have that out by the end of the year, and I'll be passing that around for review before that goes out. Something I'd like to bring up too, just in light of last night's election, and maybe this is just on town board's mind, but just with the transition of the clerk's office, the planning office works very closely with the clerk's office, and just hoping that there will be some sort of transition period with the new clerk. Clerk does a lot of help for the planning office, so I just want to be sure that I think because I'm new still, and some of the things the clerk's office does, still getting up to speed on and how they support the planning office. So just to be sure that there's a transition period before the new year. And then there's a number of things that I'm still just waiting for direction from the town board on, such as the sewer study, short-term rentals.
We got the direction for that. The committee was created, you're part of it, and we're looking at you to convene it.
Okay, yeah, and we had reached out about scheduling a meeting. I think now that the election is over and
Right,
the dust is settling, we can schedule that up again.
exactly.
So, okay. And then the comprehensive plan, looking at, starting that up next year. So again, just looking for general direction on how to go about that.
There, I mean, we haven't had discussion yet, but my inclination would be to do something more broadly, of participation than the zoning tweaks, which is what's for tonight.
Which thing are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Comprehensive plan.
Redoing the comp plan.
Okay.
I think we want a broad process there where we involve anybody who's interested. At least that's my inclination. It's very like what we did in rezoning. Where we could talk about it, whether we're going to create a framework similar to, now for discussion before that project got underway. That resulted in a compromise between those who wanted an appointed body and those who wanted to have it be just and all interested people, with nobody specifically appointed to it. And we could talk about that, but anyway, I wasn't expecting to do that tonight.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk more about that.
Yeah, but that, I think, it's a big enough project that we should cast a wide net as far as anybody who wants to party to it.
We're still on the topic of the zoning tweaks, correct?
No, there's two topics, everybody just raised the topic of the comprehensive plan redo, which is something which sort of on our sort of to-do list as well.
Right.
But the zoning tweaks is, we already know several things that have come to light that we probably want to re-examine in the zoning that was passed. And problems that Greg's also, identified in the course of things, and that we could, so I think we could hold those, basically focus on those with a smaller group and say, here are things that we've identified. Then what I would suggest is that we then put that out there as here's things that we've identified, ask the public to weigh in with, are there other things that you'd like us to?
I'm really very interested in taking, like a hard look at that
Yeah.
zoning ordinance. It seems amazingly complex.
Well, it was a major redo.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It sounds great. This is a long-term project, right? It's like,
Yes.
we're talking like the next 6 months, even to a year.
Well, the tweaks I would hope would go faster, but it depends on how much. We're not talking about a redo of the redo. We're talking about tweaks.
Right. The concepts are there.
Yeah.
It's just to make it clear so that the public have better access to it.
Well, it's not better access. It's a matter of fixing problems that we've got.
Okay.
It's not overall changing the structure or the wording. It's fixing screw-ups, fixing minor screw-ups.
Okay. All right. I know that personally I'm going to take a really hard look at it because I know how to read this stuff because I had years doing it.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, holy cow, this is complicated.
Yeah.
So if I'm having that reaction, I'm sure the public is having a similar reaction.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to find ways to make it more accessible to people, either by a better index or, just having a prologue or something that would explain to them how to use it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that,
That would be valuable too.
Right. So.
Okay. And then, just on that too, I mean, I think there's maybe a little bit of a tier or a spectrum of easy tweaks and then tweaks that maybe just need a little bit more discussion.
Right.
Preferably, some of those easier tweaks I would just handle in my office, or the planning board has already recommended one change, and the town board can act on that. And those are minor textual changes, so those things can happen fairly quickly. Whereas there are other changes that maybe would be more appropriate for more of a group and community discussion. So I would be happy to delineate some of those out, which I already have. But, certainly looking at everything together might just be very overwhelming. So maybe it's, what is the low hanging fruit? What are the things that are just real textual sort of amendments? And then what are the more thematic, philosophical changes, possibly. But
Well, and when I'm thinking, that should be deciding which is which. It could be, it's partly your judgment, but it's partly our judgment too, so that's why.
he brings it to us afterwards, and we
Well-
decide on.
Or it's something that the committee can address with him, which is what I propose.
There's no reason why anybody who has a thought, a tweet, can't write it down and send it. And then there's a repository for these things that people have seen as issues, index,
Yeah,
things that, so that we,
Well, I mean, there are things that we know are wrong,
Right.
or that we've counted as being problematic, that were not intended.
right,
There are also things that were intended are in there that some people aren't happy with. And
Or,
that's
yeah.
different,
and the consequence of
Yeah.
Didn't
Whether we
turn out to
whether
be
we
what
want
we
to
thought.
interchange
It
them,
was-
it's a
yeah.
whole other question.
well, if it would make it easier, I mean, I'm happy to put together a spreadsheet or just some document, at least just for the town board to have and start looking at while it's on paper of, I can give you my sort of pass at it. And then we can start.
That's
the
what I
town
was
board can
expecting, I was expecting a committee as opposed to doing it.
But he can bring that up at the beginning, and that makes it a lot faster. So that would be
Right.
Oh,
great.
sure, and I think
Yeah.
that's what I was expecting as part of the process with the committee. Greg would bring what he's got. Leslie has a list of things that she's seen that she'd like to see changed. I have a few things as well, and anybody else who wants to,
Chime in.
chime
Yeah.
in.
Well, that sounds great. Greg's on the point. We should all send that, whatever is our own personal list,
You can
to Greg,
Yeah,
and that should happen over the next month. That makes sense?
yeah, yeah.
And then, so that after that, we can start meeting to sort of hash it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, great. Okay. Well,
Minutes.
they did the reports, service minutes, right? I didn't get around to editing the October 25th minutes, nothing substantive, but they did make some changes. And I'm not sure Janice has had a chance to even look at those. Are you there, Janice? Must be there someplace.
Yes, which, the October 18th minutes?
Yeah,
You said 25th. Which
Oh.
one?
right, I misspoke. Yeah, October 18th, because I did October 25th sometime ago.
Yeah, I saw them and that's fine.
Okay. But the board is not, so we
I looked at them, but that's as far as if it's grammatical things that you've done, I'm sure that
That's what-
covers the things that
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I read them, but I didn't see any changes.
Well, I did my changes and track changes if you wanted to look at.
I didn't see any.
Yeah.
I didn't-
Well, it wasn't, I say it was those afternoons, so. You're very hard for us to see it anyway.
Early.
Well, a little distracted. But it was so good. So,
and the-
what do you want to defer till next
The
time?
25th, the October 25th,
I think that was good to go.
Laura had a few suggestions that I assume we can incorporate.
Yeah. Mhm. You were okay with those too, right, Janice?
Janice didn't do
I
those.
didn't do those ones.
No, but
Cindy did them.
Cindy did them, but
Yes.
the changes were,
I'm pretty sure that Cindy already incorporated the changes.
yeah, the amount of adding a couple zeros on the numbers and.
Yeah.
Anyway, it seemed like no problem. So, I move we approve October 25th, with Laura's suggested changes and others that have already been made.
Second,
Anybody, any other comments?
No?
Okay. Okay, and you want to, well, let's do that. Go ahead, Janice.
Connors is not here. Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
Yeah. What do you want to do about 18th? You want, postpone till next time, or?
I haven't seen anything that changes you made, so I don't know.
So, does that mean you want to wait?
Yes,
Okay. So let's wait. We'll postpone the approval until next time, so.
For the budget.
for the 18th.
No, just the meeting minutes for the.
Oh, the
18th.
meeting minutes, okay, fine.
Still in that. Did you read them, the 18th ones, or that's what they're,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, you know, I made changes as recently as this afternoon. They're not substantive, but nevertheless.
Right, it sounds fine to
have
me.
Look
so-
at it, right, next time. Okay, all right, moving on. The warrant. We don't have Leslie to do, we usually I move.
I move we approve the general fund vouchers 342 to 364, 25, 687, 86. Janice,
Yes.
there was a second problem with the Sunvestment with the account numbers. Are they the same now in the abstract?
Yes.
Okay, what number is correct?
I believe it's the 5132.4. I think the one that's on the abstract is correct.
Yes, 32.4.
Okay, thanks.
Second. There you go. Okay, yes.
Hanson,
What did you say? Did you say Hanson?
Yes, she did.
Hanson,
Aye.
Yeah, she does it alphabetically.
Hunter,
I thought she said gremlin or something.
no gremlin, Hanson,
Yes.
and then Hunter,
yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
and Kenyon.
Yes.
the highway fund vouchers 214 to 225 for $23,408.18.
23 or 21?
According to this, the highway, what, 23? 21,408.18.
Okay. Got him. Second,
Second. No, he seconded it.
I did it.
And he waited. Yeah.
If there was a $2,000 difference, I wonder where it was. But we got it the same. Ready?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Janice, again.
Hanson,
Yes.
okay, is that better? Hunter,
yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
Yes.
I move the water fund vouchers 31 to 35 for $2,371.25.
I can second.
No. Okay,
Ready?
yep,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Kenyon.
yes. All right,
I suggest we do the authorization of the loan now.
so should have done it before we.
Yeah, it's correct, so we can do it now.
Okay. The reason, you know, basically, we're the normal way that we disperse funds to the seniors or park or anybody else is they spend the money and then they're reimbursed up to their appropriation. That would be the normal way of dealing with the grant as well, except that they don't have the money to fund $5,000 worth of purchases. So I move that we advance them the money so that they can make the purchases and then we can be reimbursed after they submit the vouchers for it.
Second.
Janice.
Any discussion?
Was that no discussion?
No.
Evidently, we're all good to go, yeah.
And I had Gagnon, you moved in, Woodward seconded?
Did she say gremlin again?
No, she asked who seconded the motion? I moved it. Did you s-
I
Yeah,
think I
Pat did.
I think Pat.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm gonna start saying Mo.
And, yes, so I guess,
All right.
we have people seconding it? Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
Gizmo, Hanson,
Yeah, yes. Gizmo,
Hunter?
yeah.
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes. Okay, so moving back to item one, the budget.
by the way, Leslie has texted that they are, Jonathan, that they are not able to get internet, so,
Oh,
yeah.
that's why they're not here, or she's not here. You want to make a motion, or should I?
I move we approve the preliminary budget.
I second it.
So they do.
Was that Gizmo that seconded?
That was,
I'm kidding, I got it. I got it. Okay,
and I guess we're ready to vote, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, so go ahead.
okay, Hanson,
yes.
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes. The attorney produced noise law draft. We did, at the last meeting, we said we would deal with it this meeting. So,
and I apologize, but I have not had a chance to look at it, and it's long and detailed, and I need time.
Yeah.
To look at it and look at things online to compare what's appropriate and what's not.
That sounds good to me.
me too. Yeah,
So, yeah.
mean-
One thought I had about it was that I wonder whether it would be worthwhile to have Guy meet with us for that.
Not first, not until we evaluate it first. No, we need to know what questions we're asking, or we're wasting our money on him.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would sort of be like, you know, asking him to defend why he did what he did, as opposed to merely taking what we gave him and.
I want to look at it first before talking with him again.
Yeah,
And I
that's-
want to look at other options and online. There's lots of ways to get information. I want that first.
Okay, I mean, that's what we were planning, that's why we were gonna do it. Yeah.
And I apologize. I did not get a chance to do it since
yeah,
the last.
there's some things in there that I think that flat out can't be there, and there's, I don't care how he defends them, frankly. So it needs to
We
be
need to look
looked
at that part
Right.
first.
Yeah.
Before we talk to him again.
Right,
Okay. Good, next time,
Next time, good.
yeah, which is December, what?
No,
it better be November,
it's
so.
November, the Monday before Thanksgiving.
20th, is it?
I don't remember.
Yeah. I think it's the 20th. All right, so we'll do that at the next
On the
meeting.
20th. Thank you. I mean, I appreciate my feelings about Guy are known, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we're all on the same
Enough said.
page.
Yeah,
Okay, now the next item is, I considered pulling it because it's not ready for action, but at least having it on there lets me explain what it's about. The Water District, Committee, needed a place to put they wanted to put a file cabinet and you know, some materials. And they worked out a deal with the fire department over West Danby to, you know, share space with a lock and file cabinet, which used to sit right there that we weren't using, and we donated it to the cause. But then it came to light in the course of things that there was a memorandum of understanding regarding the generator. Years ago, the generator, they worked out a deal where the generator for the fire hall was, we ran electric from it to the pump. And so that the water district could use the emergency generator if we had a prolonged outage to keep the water flowing. But that expired some time ago. So the the fire district worked it all up into a sort of a joint memorandum that covered both the generator and the space in the fire hall. And it's in the nature of a contract between the fire district and the town, but it was presented as a contract between the fire district and the water district. And the water district is not in a position to have a contract. That's our,
Right.
The committee's advisory to us, the contract is us, so it needs to be reworked so that it's a contract between the fire district and the town of Danby, not between the fire district and the water district. And Joan,
Joe, it's Joe.
no, Joan,
Oh, Joe.
yeah. The Joan, the chief's wife, that, Gaten.
Oh, okay.
Sharon Gaten, said, I'll do it. Cause I offered to say, yeah, if you send me the Word document, I can change it from one to the other, and run it back and forth. She said, I'll do it, but it hasn't happened yet, so
Okay.
we'll have to wait until it does happen. But that's in process. When they get it to us, we can deal with it.
So it sounds almost like it just needs to be modified to have the correct with the town rather than.
Yeah, because they basically had it worked out.
Yeah.
What it was going to cover, but it includes in the generator part, we town agreed to pay like a quarter of the maintenance cost for the generator. So that's that's an annual amount that needs to be.
And the fire department is doing the maintenance then, though?
What's that?
The fire department is doing the maintenance on the generator?
No, I mean, they contracted out.
Okay, and then we pay a quarter of
They
it.
pay a quarter of it.
Yep.
So that's, going. And we thought about it, we could maybe done some of the other stuff like we could have gone back to the capital planning or,
That's not on the agenda. We
No.
do have another agenda item,
which is,
joint planning committee,
right,
zoning
right.
tweaks.
The what?
oh, because with the,
3.2 on additions and deletions to the agenda.
yes. Right. So,
Oh.
yeah, so this is something I was proposing in order to deal with the tweaks,
Deal with the what?
the tweaks.
Oh,
Yeah. So several things have been identified since we've passed it that are glitches or unintended consequences, so to speak, of the, how it got written up. And, Leslie's got some items, I got some items, and Greg has identified a bunch of items. And I thought it would be good to just have a committee of people to review those things and then come back with a proposal for what to propose to the public. So I was thinking whoever's interested in the town board, whoever's interested in the planning board would be a committee.
I'm interested. Is that what you're looking at? You betcha. Yeah. I'd love to work with Greg on it.
Can I make a recommendation to this committee? I think, right, town board members, planning board, BZA, the code enforcement officer, if Steve has availability. But then also, too, sort of to Ted's point,
You probably should be thinking.
Yeah,
They're not hearing you.
sorry. I was just commenting to the board as they're considering the planning committee that if I were to offer a recommendation, it would be some members of the town board up to the legal limit, planning board, board of zoning appeals, the code enforcement officer if he's available, but then also opening it up to a few members of the public, maybe somebody who is a business owner, somebody in the ag community. Even just having a few people from the public. When I've had committees before, of 6 to 15 people, there's usually 3 or 4 that are just residents, or business owners, or somebody with a large ag operation, if they're able. But that would be my suggestion.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
just have to keep the number to, you know, just, I think 7 would be there's a thing about group dynamics, right? Once you get to 8, you start like, it starts to get unwieldy. So if we're talking about what? Town board, planning board, we're talking about the BZA, you, me, and now we're up to 4, right?
And the
well,
code enforcement officer.
And code, if he's there, so we're talking about 2 more people maybe.
2 more people but especially ag and business would be great.
That's my recommendation, or, you know, and they might not be available, but it's just opening it up. Right, and reaching out to a business owner or somebody that actively farms and seeing if they would be available. Otherwise, if somebody, you know, if they're not,
Right.
then you just.
Yeah, but is that relevant to the tweaks that we consider?
We don't have them yet, so we should look at that, and those are the major users of the zoning, so we should have them on there.
So this
Well,
is
no,
an
there's no
interesting,
home,
We
there's,
don't have the list yet of what the tweaks are.
Right,
Well,
that's
I-
why I was thinking that I had in mind, you know, fairly modest committee of just a couple of town board people and a couple of planning board people if they're interested.
But I think
To work with
his idea is much better with the zoning officer and the code enforcement makes a whole lot more sense. And the BZA is important. They make all these adjustments and changes.
Well, I mean, they deal with variances, so that,
Yeah.
you know, to the extent that there are variances as a consequence of problems with the document, that's why you might adjust it, so.
Yeah, that's why I think those 5 are good, and I think adding 2 more from the public, and at this point, looking at business and.
so the question is how the process takes place. Do you have contact with people? Are you gonna let people from the public come to you?
Right.
And make it known that you're looking for 2 more people to fill out the committee?
It might be, I mean, a call, you know, if people do have, you know, some folks in mind, I think we could start there. But, you know, I also too, and let me sort of back up that, at least I was also thinking about the comprehensive planning process, and I know that's not the,
Well, yeah,
test, but-
there I wanted a much more broader and more inclusive, body where, the kind of things that you're talking about, you know, it seems to me we should have all the key players at the table. But tweaking didn't seem like it was the same, you know, it involved that same level of engagement. What I was imagining was something relatively straightforward, although the distinction between what's a tweak and what's more substantive is a judgment call. But, yeah, the low hanging fruit you alluded to earlier was what I was after. Being able to pull those out and
Do them first.
yeah, and then, you know, but there's 2 things here, because, you know, redoing the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is not, it's the vision statement, the blueprint upon which
Right, the zoning would be changed.
you know, relies, and you might suggest changes to the zoning as a result of that revisiting the comprehensive plan, but that's a lot longer process.
right,
But the tweaks are short-term things, and so we enacted it, we already know there's some things, problems with it we'd like to address. And I don't want to laugh at process for dealing with low-hanging fruit, but,
right, I think I was maybe misspeaking, I was thinking more about the larger kind of planning group, maybe for the comprehensive plan, but certainly for the zoning tweaks, you know, it might be more of a smaller group, a little more focused. If,
I mean, I was envisioning something that could do, you know, a process that would only like 2 or 3 months, and we could make some changes that would just sort of clean it up.
I would really like that, and I can see the people that most often approach about the problem with the zoning are potentially a homeowner that there's obviously something wrong with this, it's affecting a bunch of people, and you would probably have seen that between you and maybe checking back with David or what he had in the files, and then the code person probably, and you know, Paul has great interest in me. That's a few people to go through those quick ones, and I agree, if we could get those before we even think about doing the comprehensive part.
Yeah, but then there definitely are 2. There's the low hanging fruit, and then there's not the low hanging fruit problems that have been identified. That you know, we want some more feedback from the public on. But I mean, I wasn't imagining we were going to do these things without getting public participation. But I thought
Really an initial
Well, what I was imagining was that we would identify areas that we think should be dealt with, share that list with the public and say, this is what we have identified. Are there other things that you think that we should be looking at to make adjustments here? And then it's our call, whether, which ones to entertain, because the planning function resides with the town board. So
I don't think there's any conflict of anything anybody's saying. I mean, I
no,
see
it
this,
is.
so we
Well,
can talk.
so it's not a matter of conflict, it's a matter of elaboration. Because like I said, if we could pull out stuff that's literally, easy, low-hanging fruit, making a distinction between that and not so easy.
So let's go back to the number thing.
Yeah.
So how many people do you think should be on this, a preliminary look at things?
I was thinking 4,
Okay, and that would be,
2 from the town board, or maybe 3. And however, we have not had more than a couple of people on the planning board interested in participating in that, in the planning process.
so then we would,
We may or may not get anybody from the planning board interested.
but the point is to open it up to the public down the road.
Well,
The company.
So that covers our base, then, sounds like.
I would not have 2 from the town board and 2 from the planning board. I would have 1 from the town board, 1 from the planning board, and I would have the BCA. And I would have,
I mean, I'm not sure that Steve's gonna be really all that gassed about helping out.
I would,
And since I have a background in doing his job, I think we're covered.
I would like to allow him to serve if he wants to. It's his
Right, just
choice.
ask him the question.
Yes.
Yeah, and then ask for one of the people from the BZA.
Steve is here.
Is anybody asleep over here?
Are you actually watching, Steve, or, because, that's a question for you, whether you'd be like.
Hi, Steve.
Hello.
With names up there, I didn't even know you were there. What, are you interested, Steve?
Generally, when I get zoning questions, I immediately refer them to Greg. So anything that I address first or gets addressed to me first, not being my capacity, I don't provide answers because I don't want to give the public bad information.
Right, see, that's the thing, Greg's job description changed slightly from the previous planners, that we used to do the zoning.
Right, that happened on David's watch.
Right, let me just recap what you just said, is that you think that maybe you wouldn't be necessarily the best choice because you don't deal with this.
No, the way we currently do deal with it.
Steve.
Yeah, I
Steve?
can explain it though. Well,
Steve,
I would say I may not be the best choice to be on the committee, but I would certainly support the committee if they had questions or wanted my opinion.
sounds great.
Yeah.
So we're back to number of people.
So for your information, we had this discussion back a ways about how the 2 officials relate to each other, and we made
That's not appropriate for this discussion.
planner,
now.
the zoning officer, so that the way it works is when somebody applies for a building permit, it gets reviewed by the planner for zoning compliance.
Right.
And then once that's determined, then it goes back to Steve, who deals with the code
Building
enforcement part of it.
Yeah.
So the team.
I got that one.
Once upon a time, it was all one person.
Right.
It was muddy after that because things evolved without functions being clear.
But we want to decide on the committee now. That's not part of this.
That's
I would,
correct.
I would say planning board, town board, and I would include BCA.
Sounds good. It's a great group of guys on the BZA.
And
Yeah, but if you want to limit to one person, I'm gonna have a problem because I want to be on it too.
There just can't be 3 town board members.
They can if we make it public.
no, it cannot be 3 town board.
I don't
members.
want to be on it.
I don't want to be on.
I do.
Yeah, and I think Leslie might too, though. And then 3, but that's,
Too many.
Too many.
well, is it too many?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
And it's a public meeting.
Then every meeting,
Not worth it.
then every meeting's a public meeting.
Right.
Yes, that's true. But it doesn't mean that they're,
Don't forget, that you're saying that this is preliminary
Yes.
and that
correct.
this is supposed to be a sketch of
Right.
what we expect
yeah,
or
yeah.
the idea.
Well, I mean,
right?
I'm going to bring back to the board,
And then it's gonna come back and you're gonna get the chance to review it then, the entire
Right.
board.
right?
So this is the idea, this is fact finding
And the
mission.
information goes to this committee. Your information goes to the committee, Leslie's goes to me, everybody's goes to
Yeah.
this group, and then it comes back to the board.
Yeah,
So nobody has, not everybody has to be on the committee
Right.
because the board is finally up to decision. So I'd say one board, one town board, one planning board, one BZA. And great.
uh-huh.
I'm kind of all right with that one from us first for this initial tweak things. I mean,
Right.
the other thing is any one of them, Paul or Greg, there can be a note to us. We ran into a snag. We need one more opinion or something like that.
Well, we're gonna reach out anyway to the board members for their opinions about this. To leave you out of the loop would be stupid.
Yeah,
Would make it longer at the end when you have, if you've gone.
Right,
through all the
if we have-
details and
don't
you
have
start from scratch.
Right, it's not like we're not gonna talk to you, it's just
Yeah,
like,
Right, right.
I think for the initial tweak, how comfortable or uncomfortable are you with such a small group just to get to the lowest or the easiest tweaks, one layer, do that, and then maybe there could be, you say, okay, now we need to add another member for the next layer of discovery. I mean, is that too crazy or?
Yeah, that might make it a little complicated.
All right.
it has some merit though.
Yeah.
To get to that next level, you're talking more, a broader philosophical discussion perhaps than just tweaking.
I'm trying to make it straightforward, not,
Yeah.
I think these things are identifiable and actionable.
And if there's something that's complicated, then, then that means it's, a next level and we have to.
Well, it might be, right, and it might be something to add on to your point is that some of the more difficult or sort of longer, more philosophical kind of questions, they actually might be more appropriate to wrap up into the comprehensive planning process.
Oh, yeah.
There's, as I said, there's a few things that I think, I mean, preferably, I would just make these amendments in my a proposal, a memo and a packet to the town board, or I'd send it to the planning board first for their notes, and then we'd send it to the planning board or the town board. That would actually be preferably how if I were making that call. And then some of the meatier topics would actually be saved for
the comprehensive plan.
comprehensive plan, where there'd be a larger group with residents of the public being appointed on the board.
That's
But
a
if-
really good idea.
Well, except that it confounds the changes in the zoning with the revisiting of the vision
But
statement.
that's what's important because the zoning is supposed to be based on the vision statement.
Yeah.
So if we're doing major changes, the major changes should be after the comprehensive plan, not before.
Yeah, we're not talking major changes.
Minor changes don't need to go.
Yeah, but I mean,
Minor
yeah,
changes.
well,
He's talking
well, I
about.
mean, I agree with you about after, but, after means that we've dealt with the comprehensive plan. And then you say, then you take a good, you then revisit your zoning and say, what do we need to change in order to, in light of the changes that are made to the comprehensive plan? Isn't that the sort of logic of it?
Right. Would it help to again present or to pass on a spreadsheet or some sort of memo of collecting some of these ideas?
Yeah.
And then debating on how a committee should handle them.
Good idea.
I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
because some of this seems kind of nebulous, and I think people might be thinking one change, but some large sort of wholesale change, but really there might just be, I mean, some of the things I'm thinking about are just really small tweaks in the language that the planning board identified, and we've identified through the proposal across the street. But some of them just might, warrant a little bit further discussion. So would it help to put something together either by the next town board meeting or the first one in December, collecting other board members' thoughts, even, and trying just to present them and.
It would make it easier, it would make it more concrete in terms of what we.
Yeah.
Instead of being so, I like that idea. Can you do that?
But the only thing I ask is, I agree, do that. Can you do it before the next board meeting? So we get a thing beforehand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
You can
That's
do that.
soon.
Well, considering that Thanksgiving intervenes, well, not
No, it
Thanksgiving.
doesn't.
No, the next one's,
Thanksgiving, right?
yeah, it's before.
But it's only, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Kind of quick.
Can you do that quickly? Because you've been obviously looking into this.
I mean, I have them all written down, at least the ones that I've come across. I mean, there might be more that other
Well,
people
you
have
could
seen,
solicit, and find out what's on Leslie's list.
right.
I can talk about what I had.
It's at least a starting point, and then the board can just see sort of the scope of these
Yes,
proposals, and some might just be my own, preference of things, but that town board might not agree with that. And, but some things just might be, everyone is on board with, yeah, this makes sense because of our goals of the hamlet revitalization or goals of protecting natural resources.
So let me just say, I think that's a great idea that you and Leslie send them Greg,
yeah, and then we gotta.
and then he'll assemble us a list. And I
Share
should be
the
able to be done in 2 weeks, right?
Mhm.
And then we'll figure it out at the next meeting. How we're gonna
Okay,
proceed.
that makes sense to me too.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Make a note of it. So we're gonna have Greg prepare a tweaks list. For the next meeting.
Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Monday, we moved to Monday. I think that's the 20th, isn't it?
No clue.
I think it might be the 20th.
Yes.
That was in my mind. I just read the minutes of the last meeting where we moved the 8th and the 20th. Okay, well, that's done. We are done, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, thank you all for coming. Meeting adjourned.
Guys, I'm sorry I wasn't there right at the beginning of your public hearing. Did I miss anything? Did anybody have any questions that they needed?
Oh, yeah. There were statements made, but there wasn't any adjustments made as a result of the statements made.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to get on the internet here, going from the shop to here, and then my computers, and just getting on the internet, and I was having a little trouble. So what did I, there's something that I could help with or whatever?
Yeah, we got it.
We're good. Yeah, because what?
There was no specific questions about that kind of stuff.
Right. In fact, what I saw online was more clearly done than the one I had from the previous meeting. Laura,
Okay.
congratulations. That's a good one. Smile. You're right. That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
So Laura, did you get something to me? Is it in the copy room or?
Yes, Jack dropped those off. Janice, I think, has those.
Yeah. I have them.
Okay.
I have a bunch of stuff for you to sign, Joel.
Okay, good, thanks, yeah. All right, meeting adjourned, thank you.
Thanks.
Here, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.
Who are you waving to?